Welcome to the Halo Effect, hospitality stories with Ashleigh and Michael Donald. Hospitality isn't just our profession, it's our passion. With decades of experience and countless stories to share, we've navigated the highs and lows of this dynamic industry, not just as professionals, but as a husband and wife team tackling the challenges of business and life together. This podcast is your invitation to step behind the curtain of the hospitality world. We'll share real experiences, lessons learned, and the moments that have shaped our journey, offering inspiration and insights for anyone walking a similar path. Whether you're just starting out or have years under your belt, we're here to remind you that every challenge is an opportunity and every story has the power to inspire. Hello and welcome back to the Halo Effect Hospitality Stories with Ashleigh and Michael Donald. International Women's Day has just taken place. It's the 8th of March, a couple of days ago now. We're recording it just before. And we just wanted to reflect on the sort of meaning of the day and how it's been commemorated across the UK, specifically in hospitality, of course. Hence the story, the name of the podcast. But really, specifically what it means for the hospitality industry.
Yeah, and I think for me, International Women's Day is both a celebration and a bit of a checkpoint. So I think, it does highlight the progress that's been made by women globally, but also invites discussion, honest reflection about, where potentially inequality does still exist across the world, across workplaces, and just, gives us that chance to drive that conversation. So, we just wanted to, take a moment to really to kind of reflect on the history and the sort of origins of the International Women's Day. So it actually started in the early labour movement. So in 1908, about 15,000 people, women marched through New York City demanding better working conditions, improved pay, right to vote, and of course there was kind of suffragette movement across here.
I start thinking of Peaky Blinders. I think of Polly in Peaky Blinders.
Oh yeah, amazing. Why is it when I always think of suffragettes, I immediately go to Mary Poppins and the mum? But no, of course, and Emmeline Pankhurst is a favourite in our household as well. But as well as US, UK. After the Russian Revolution, the Bolsheviks began to celebrate International Women's Day on the 8th of March. And here we are, continuing to celebrate and commemorate on this day.
There seems to be quite a few people that claim that have been invented or started on the 8th of March. But either way, whatever way it is, it's definitely, it's 8th of March. It's always the same, whether it's a Sunday, like it was this year, or whatever day of the week, it's always the same, isn't it?
Exactly.
Easy to remember, like St. Patrick's Day.
Definitely, a few days after. And then, of course, the United Nations began officially marking International Women's Day back in 1975. So I think, really, just obviously gaining movement. I think, there's some interesting stats from the UN in terms of, why there's still a campaign. So, women only have 64% of the legal rights that men hold worldwide. And if it continues at its current pace, it will take 286 years to close legal protection gaps. So definitely still on the conversation, but I think why does the history matter, and of course why are we still talking about here today? So I think I'd like to kind of begin before we sort of dive into the hospitality specific kind of events and discussions, but there are essentially two International Women's Day themes that are kind of happening concurrently. So you just take us through a little bit of kind of how that's come about.
So there's one that seems to do very well in the Google searches. I think it's if you search for International Women's Day, one of the first ones that comes up is internationalwomensday.com. And their theme this year is give to gain.
And we've seen a lot of that across the different events and comms, and certainly, we've anchored that in terms of lots of different...
and it's a good theme, absolutely, and I think any theme that shines a light on this is brilliant. That website was kind of originally started as a kind of a not-for-profit, and now they've started maybe selling a few sort of bits of merchandise around International Women's Day, which again shines a light. It's quite different to what the UN one is doing. And the UN's official theme this year, and I think last year as well, was rights, justice, action for all women and girls. So there's a divergence there in terms of what gets used, and you can look it up. There's quite a few articles. I know the Guardian was talking about it, and the give to gain, and a little bit critical of that. I mean, I can't say personally.
Yeah. Watch out that mansplaining
on International Women's Day. But I think anything that does highlight this is great.
And I think it's that's exactly right. I feel that, whilst the UN's theme, I think, places that greater emphasis on that kind of structural equality, driving policy change, whereas the internationalwomen'sday.com theme, give to gain, I think, that can be absolutely anchored in how women support each other, whether that be through mentorship, collaboration, and we often hear sort of phrases like lift as you climb. So, I think, as you say, that the output of it, the result of it is the discussions, the events, the panels. It's all driving conversation. Yeah, which is really important.
And it's a very different target market as well, right? And so United Nations is looking at the whole world, and we know as many challenges as women have here in the UK, they're having even bigger challenges around the world. Another one of the key facts was in many countries the law allows for early and child marriage, which really erodes any potential for women. But there's about 12 million girls annually every year around the world that are going in early in child marriage, which is really, really sad. I mean, what chances you have at that stage? And of course, and then give to gain, I guess, is more. I think that's kind of pushed more towards a UK or a Western world kind of market, and encouraging people to support each other as well. I think.
Yeah, exactly. So we've seen some really interesting events, and I think talking probably UK specific, and certainly our clients have recognised and have had lots of events, whether that's panel discussions, whether they've hosted big pillar events for things like Women's Chapter. So Montcalm Mayfair was the venue for this year's Women's Chapter, had a stellar panel, include, of course, my fave, CEO and founder of Scamp and Dude, Joe Touchner-Sharp, but incredible panel. And then we've seen lots of other events where the House of Lords are having a full debate on this to market, and they're looking at the sort of sustainable development goals, and just looking at the impact on women and girls in the UK, and what more they can do. So it's very much at that kind of government level right the way through to different events. I did see an interesting event happening in Leicester. They're offering free screenings of Legally Blonde. I mean, sign me up for that, to celebrate female empowerment through culture and entertainment. But quite a lot of kind of, I suppose, like quite business and leadership and thought leadership panel discussion that are happening across the board. And then we've seen a few, I would say, kind of more promotional led themes, which, it's kind of interesting, that approach. I think, I absolutely agree with recognising it, but I think there's just a bit of a, you just got to be quite sort of mindful around how you're sort of leveraging that to promote certain things.
I think offering a sort of a discount on International Women's Day for women, I'm not the target market, I suppose, for that, but it doesn't feel particularly value led. I think maybe the discount. I mean, certainly creating an experience to bring people together and have that conversation to celebrate. I think that there's definitely maybe something in that. But I think you're right in terms of trying to I think going on the days, and again, this isn't necessarily related to International Women's Day, but the ladies' cocktail night and all of that kind of very gender specific kind of promotion. I feel like that's kind of, those days have sort of moved on a little bit. Yeah, club nights were free entry for women, and the lads all standing outside in their polished shoes. Yeah, exactly. But it comes back. Look, we talked about authenticity last week, and the sea of sameness at No Vacancy, where Harry Fielder was talking about the words that are being overused, and definitely authenticity is a word that you probably don't want to be using in your marketing, but it doesn't hide the fact that what you do should be authentic as much as possible. And I think if you're going to talk about International Women's Day and celebrate it, then I think you also need to be doing that in your workplace culture and celebrating your team all the time, year round, and it's such a huge part of the hospitality industry as well. I mean, women in the workplace. Do we have some figures on that?
Yeah,
in the
so I think
industry?
and again we touched a little bit on from last week's podcast, because we'd been along to a fantastic session with UK Hospitality, who shared a lot of stats. But yeah, absolutely. So, hospitality is the UK's third largest employer, supporting about 3.2 million jobs, and women make up roughly 70% of that. So it is a huge proportion. However, only around 8% are in leadership roles from a woman's perspective, and they often earn significantly less, so just under 4% less than their male counterparts in same roles. So obviously work to be done. I think
and in certain departments, I would imagine like the percentages are even higher than 70%. Like if you look at,
and this is kind of across the board, UK hospitality, and certainly our own experience, and speaking about clients and partners that we work with, I mean, there's a lot of female leaders that we work with, and we're absolutely, feel so empowered working with them.
Yeah.
So this is, these stats are kind of very much broad brushstroke across the UK. One of the discussions which I thought was really helpful last week, and was just a great reminder from UK Hospitality, was just talking about the hospitality industry does allow for increased sort of accessibility of young people coming through into the industry, women maybe who are looking for something slightly more flexible in terms of hours, that there is that kind of opportunity for part-time work. So there's definitely that accessibility piece, which I think is very much worth highlighting, and obviously the sort of leadership, but we can see that changing, and you just look at the profile of whether that be a general manager or heads of hotel groups, we see that across the board kind of growing, but obviously still work to be done in that area.
And this is an area that is getting really challenging as well. It's those sort of flexible part-time roles, the ones that are maybe more impacted by changes, certainly in the UK, in terms of national insurance taxes and things like that. Those are the ones that are at really high risk. So often we find that there's less flexibility offered sometimes. Like sometimes there's a hesitance to offer the flexibility that really has traditionally been the biggest draw for a lot of people, has been the flexibility of work in hospitality, and sometimes that is sort of blocked from people as well, and you end up losing really good people only to have to replace them for additional cost down the line, probably with the flexibility they were asking for in the first place.
It is interesting. I do think there's a little bit of a reset since COVID around flexibility, hybrid working. There's also around kind of shared parental leave as well, because I think as more men are requesting flexibility to support with childcare, and as most a lot of families are with two working parents, that there's that flexibility on both sides, so it doesn't necessarily always fall to the woman to sort of build that flexibility, but I think there's definitely a understanding of that we have lives outside our work, and that we've got family commitments, and there's that degree of flexibility, obviously not always possible, and particularly in operational roles where you of course need to have that presence in the hotel, in the restaurant, etc. But there's definitely a degree of flexibility, whether that's around hours and being able to kind of fit it around nursery kind of drop in, drop outs for younger childcare, or just having that flexibility that you can take time out to go and see a Christmas show, your kids' nativity play. So I think there's that empathy and trust to sort of do that with team members more than ever before. but yes, of course, it is a juggle, as we know ourselves, working parents.
Well, on the flip side, did you hear I think BBC was talking about it this week and talking about the 996 work culture that seems to be spreading quite a bit now. It's kind of originally come from sort of China, and now it's sort of spreading into the UK and US, and it really very much for AI and for sort of tech companies and startups and things like that. So 996 means you work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, 9 to 9, 6 days a week. So long hours. So we might need to get on that one if that's going to start spreading as the work culture in this AI generation. But,
wow, that's quite intense. I think I'm definitely more aligned to this kind of Scandinavian
4-day week. Yeah, 4-day weeks. Yeah.
But it's, I mean, and you know, and that's the point as well. You know, hospitality, it is a 24/7, 365 day business, but you know, it does allow for that flexibility. I mean, we did the night manager episode the other week, and you know, you recalled your kind of quite significant chunk of time that you spent being a night manager. And you know, we do have friends that, you know, they kind of split the 24. One team member one part of the family works in the night, one part in the day, and they're just kind of a little bit passing ships. But actually, that does help with just being there for the kids. And so, you know, again, it's whatever works for individuals. But there's again that opportunity, I think, to have those sort of slightly different, unusual working hours that actually can really support that sort of busy family life.
So Ash, as we spoke about, the give to gain is kind of the main thing that I think, for, you know, different reasons, but that's the main sort of reason, the main theme that people are following in hospitality and certainly in the UK. What does it mean to you? What has resonated with you this year, and where do you see it going in future?
So I think the give to gain theme for me is a phrase that there's a lovely initiative called a lift as you climb, which is, you know, as you kind of grow and develop, that you're ensuring that you nurture and grow and develop those who will kind of almost follow in your footsteps, as it were. So those more maybe junior team members, through like mentorship, coaching, support, you know, and that for me is certainly what I like to try to endeavour to do, whether that's through the Entrepreneur in Residence programme that I do with Sheffield Hallam University, where I'm meeting undergrad, postgrad students, and just really kind of being that almost conduit between them concluding their studies and sort of entering the world of work, and just sharing those, you know, real life experiences and opportunities of what the hospitality industry can offer, because I think unfortunately there's still a bit of a drop off in terms of people that graduate in hospitality that don't end up continuing their careers in hospitality. So I think, you know, that's across the board, next generation. Also, I think just the value of mentorship. So, you know, throughout my career, I've been so fortunate to have numerous mentors at various different stages. So formerly, I had a mentor when I was with Starwood Hotels and Resorts working in Phuket, and out of our regional head office in Singapore, Lisa Miller. She was wonderful, and she just, you know, it was almost the softer skills. So while she was a marketing specialist, and I learned so much from her in terms of those like specific skills, it was more the kind of intuitive, softer skills that, you know, I was still in my kind of mid-20s, and hadn't maybe honed those kind of, I don't know, like emotional intelligence and certain things, and also just certain traits to support you as a leader as well. And I think sometimes, you know, there is a trait, and I'm guilty of this myself, of almost like not pushing yourself forward for something until you feel you know, ready. And we talk about this in terms of, you know, going for promotions, and why is it that men seem to get promoted ahead of women? And sometimes it's because they feel like they're 20% ready and know 20% of the job, so they'll go for it, whereas women are like, oh, I want to know, you know, 90% before I feel like I'm justified to do it. So I think it was a lot of those, you know, putting yourself forward, having a voice in the room, how to, you know, effectively position your point of view, follow up, etc. So it was those things you don't really get taught, but it was just so impactful. And then there's been other amazing female role models across my career, whether they've been my direct report as kind of my senior directors and managers, or clients as well. I've worked with some incredible and continue to female leaders of the industry who I'm inspired by every day, and really feel so empowered and inspired by them. So for me, it's like a sort of continuous improvement. And then again, just to kind of mention, and slightly sort of outside of hospitality industry, but for the last couple of years, I'm really proud to have been part of what's called the Girls Network, which is working as a mentor to kind of teenage girls, usually between the ages of 14 to 16, working directly with their like high schools, and just looking at helping them with whether it be a sort of career development plan, just sort of the phrase is you can't be what you can't see. And so there are a lot of kind of fellow females who are have careers or their own businesses, and really just chatting to the girls about what comes next. And a lot of them are going through their like mock exams and GCSEs, and I think are sometimes might struggle to see, okay, well, what comes next, what's possible, what skills will I need, can I talk to a kind of adult role model that isn't my parents about this kind of thing, what's on my mind. So that's been a real eye-opener, I think a sort of demographic that these are our future leaders, and it's been wonderful to get to know these group of teenage girls, and just how inspiring they are, and how knowledgeable they are, and how ambitious they are. So so there's, for me, it's, I think Give to Gain is as you develop, and people are so kind and generous to kind of share their mentorship with you, then that's your duty to then kind of pass it forward.
Definitely. And so when I see it, I Give to Gain, for me, I see that, and it should be men involved in it as well. But obviously, a lot of the sort of marketing of it is pictures of women giving to gaining, and actually some of the criticism that I have read about it is talking about it puts all the pressure on women, putting the responsibility on women to do that. But for me, what is sort of saying? I mean, certainly through the mentorship, and a lot of that is. I mean, it does need to kind of, you're kind of giving that perspective that doesn't apply to everyone. It does apply more to women, and the challenges, and acknowledging those challenges that they have. And there isn't really a sort of a textbook that men can just sort of pick up to help teach that one. It's not.
Exactly.
It's a life thing that needs that sort of life experience to sort of share the stories of how that happened, and yeah, there needs to be a place for that as well.
Definitely, and just some commentary. Similarly, just reading online as well of just, I suppose, the reality that many women live with. So they're holding a lot of energy, responsibility, and ambition all at once. So it's, I think, that as you say, like the give to gain. There's that argument that women throughout history are often the givers. But I think, to come back to our kind of very first point around the themes, I think championing whichever theme, I suppose, most resonates to drive that conversation, but ultimately it's about the conversation and taking action and the results. So for me, I think, of course, there's maybe the two trains of kind of thematic approach, whether it's the UN or the Give to Gain approach, but ultimately the result is that we're getting people to talk about it, and we obviously still need to continue to do that. We've made great progress across history, and of course there's huge progress still. 264 years to go. Still to come, exactly. But I think lots to take joy from and to celebrate, and I think it's great that we, as I say, we are having these conversations and we do see actions as a result of this. And as a hospitality industry, I think, it's about continuing to develop and attract and retain people, across the board, men, women. We need to all kind of support each other. And I think just, being mindful around providing that kind of flexibility for women as I suppose, as they go through their career, maternity, etc., and looking at that sort of holistically in terms of flexible kind of working parents, I should probably say, because actually I think that's where, for me, will really support with kind of retaining the talent within the industry. But yes, it's been a really interesting to see all of the different conversations and debates, and I've really enjoyed reading a lot of the articles and seeing a lot of the coverage from various panels. So not just one to talk about on the 8th of March, of course, it's something we'll be championing throughout the year. But yes, thank you for listening to this episode, and we look forward to speaking to you again on another episode of The Halo Effect.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to The Halo Effect, Hospitality Stories with Ashleigh and Michael Donald. We hope today's episode has offered some insights and encouragement to anyone navigating the world of hospitality or entrepreneurship. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question, want to suggest a topic, or interested in just joining us as a guest, you'll find our contact details in the show notes. Don't forget to follow, like, or subscribe to The Halo Effect on your favourite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Until next time, thank you, and we can't wait to welcome you back for more stories and inspiration.